Welcome back as we continue our top 50 modern actors from science fiction, fantasy, and horror genres. Who's going to make it on this level of the list?
So let's get into it. You know the drill. This is Fantasy for the Ages. Father, son. I'm the son of the equation. Zach.
I'm Jim, the father, and we are ready to continue this series, the top 50 modern actors of science fiction, fantasy, and horror. We already have an episode out that you should go find that's on 50 to 41. Today, 40 to 31. And, it's a contentious thing just where we put these people on the list. I gave the whole criteria in the previous episode. So, again, go check that one out. We just want to get into talking about these great actors again and see if you agree with us.
Let's do it. I think we've got some heavy hitters in this episode.
We really do. And it just keeps getting bigger as we go up the list. But a reminder, we hope you'll like the episode. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Check out all the things that Zach and I have on the channel for you. Well over 1,000 videos now. And we're just having fun. Come have fun with us. All right. I love this actor that we have at number 40 to start off the list. I could maybe have this one higher, but it might be sentimental then.
It almost hurts to have him as low as you do.
Number 40 is Jeff Goldblum. Now, he breaks into the science fiction scene way back in 1978. One of his first films, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which was a remake of a 50s film that's better than the original. Great movie. But he's done a number of other things. It was in 86 that he hits, again, a big home run for science fiction with The Fly.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that before I found Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So The Fly is the first movie I saw Jeff Goldblum in. And I'm like, wow. I mean, that film's fantastic. He's got a number of other things that come along here and there. But of course, he hits it big again with the Jurassic Park franchise. His Dr. Ian Malcolm is iconic and so connected to that film series as well as to him now. His, what was the kind of science? Chaos theory, I think is what he was tied to. Then, of course, he also comes along with Independence Day, right there with Will Smith, kind of the 1-2 punch of actors in that film. Yeah, he did Independence Day Resurgence as well, which Will Smith chose not to, and maybe Will Smith made the better call,
right choice, yeah.
Or Resurgence suffers because they couldn't get Will Smith back. So there is an argument to be made there. But he's also in the MCU as he gets introduced as the Grand Master.
Underutilized,
but there could be more. Once you've got a character in there, but he's such a big name now. They have to be careful how much they use him. They have to pay him too much.
They got to pay him. Yeah.
So I've enjoyed a variety of roles. There's more that he's done in these genres on the screen. We even get his voice on TV because of the What If series on Disney Plus, which is him reprising his Grandmaster role. So, Jeff Goldblum, man. So you would like to see him a little higher?
Maybe. It's a hard one because I could totally see him higher, but I like so many of the people above.
Right. So let's move to the next one up. The first one that I'm thinking is better than Jeff Goldblum, and I'm probably wrong.
I don't know.
I struggled with where to put this one.
I like the diversity we're about to see in their filmography here.
So number 39 is Michael B. Jordan, who I first saw in a film not many people talk about, Chronicle. Great science fiction
about movie. More.
Yes, it's fantastic. But he also was in the not so good Fantastic Four reboot that we didn't need rebooted. And he plays Johnny Storm, not nearly as well as Chris Evans had in a couple of films.
It's not his fault. It's the movies.
It is. It's a bad movie. He gets rejuvenated, I can't think of the word I want, but when he gets to play Eric Killmonger in Black Panther, we're like, there you go. That's the kind of role you should have had.
One of the best villains in the MCU, period, to the point where you're like, he's a villain, but he's not entirely wrong.
Right? It's a nuanced character. I think they actually brought that character to life better than it is in the comics.
Very possibly.
He's also got a little more sci-fi with Fahrenheit 451, which was a TV movie.
I remember seeing it and thinking he did pretty well. It was fairly decent, but I remembered why I like the premise of Fahrenheit 451 far more than I actually do the story or the adaptation. It's always a cooler premise than it actually ends up being.
There you go. There's just another couple other TV animated things he's done, so there really isn't that much from him yet in fantasy, sci-fi, or horror. So what he's done, taking Fantastic Four out, is solid, but I think 39 is probably then a good place for him.
That's fair.
38 is another one where hasn't done much yet, more than Michael B. Jordan, but I really like what I've seen so far from Millie Bobby Brown. Okay, of course, Stranger Things. Y'all know that. That's where we met her. But she's got some Godzilla monster movies where she's played. She's also rolled out with Enola Holmes, you know, a different younger sister of Sherlock Holmes. So a different take there. And then the fantasy movie Damsel, which just came out in 2024, I have not seen. But she continues to get roles in this genre, and Stranger Things, of course, is not done. Now, you had a thought about her.
Yeah, I just sighed in relief because when I first saw this list, she was much higher, and she shouldn't be. It's not that she is bad, but when you look at it, the only thing that she's done that has any sort of staying power is Stranger Things, really. I think we suffer from a lot of recency bias here, going, she's cool. Oh, look at all these things she's doing in such a short period of time. But how many of them are actually good or impactful?
I think Millie Bobby Brown, though, what we're seeing from her is enough that she's not going to just fade away. We're going to keep getting stuff from her that I feel is going to be good.
We'll see.
Yep, we will see. But that's 38. Number 37, one of the bigger names on the list, Vin Diesel. Now, Vin Diesel, most people won't go and say, oh, he is such a great actor.
No.
But they will say, oh, I love his films. Okay? He's another one you kind of get Vin Diesel. He's got one note. But that note has been delivered very well in multiple things. We've got the Riddick franchise, starting with Pitch Black. Great movie back in 2000. That's solid science fiction. Fantastical science fiction. But there's a trilogy of films there where he's played the same role each time. Of course, his voice is used in the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. I am Groot. Which he spent a lot of work trying to figure out how to say I am Groot in many different ways. But there's a whole bunch of movies that he's attached to then. The Last Witch Hunter is a pretty cool supernatural fantasy horror film back in 2015. It didn't do all that great in the box office, but I liked the movie. And that's a different type of performance for Vin Diesel. He also, of course, has the Fast and Furious franchise, which is his biggest thing that's out there. Not solidly in any of these, but, you know, kind of touches on the fantasy and sci-fi with the ridiculous things they go to in their extremes with cars. Thoughts?
Vin Diesel is the first one that I understand why he's on your list. I even can, like, see your reasoning as to why you put him as high as you did. He probably wouldn't make my top 50, period.
You have not seen the Riddick movies, though.
But, like...
Right? Because they matter in his placement here. He has a great character he has.
At the end of the day, I don't think I care enough to put him there, regardless of how good it is.
Well, remember my criteria for the list, and that's part of how he's here. The impact he's had on the genres that he represents. His star power being attached to something like Guardians of the Galaxy helped Guardians of the Galaxy be the hit to the level it is. It's also really great writing, great performances from all the people, but also Vin Diesel. And, you know, that kind of impact gets him on the list.
If you say so.
Ha! Now, number 36 on the list is at this level because of you, because I thought he should be lower.
You were wrong.
You know, I'm like, all right, you convinced me to raise him up. David Tennant. Now, of course, Doctor Who. He's got years of doing the Doctor Who series. He's come back a couple different times since his original run. He also was in way back, I think actually just before he started Doctor Who, was when he was in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, playing Barty Crouch Jr. We don't actually see a lot of him on the movie, but the little bit we do, he does really well. He's been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, sorta. The Jessica Jones series, he plays the bad guy, the Purple Man. And that role he does really well. I think that's the best part of that whole series.
I don't think I've ever seen him do something poorly.
Have you seen Good Omens?
I have. He's phenomenal.
I did not watch it at all yet.
Really?
I haven't read the book either.
He's phenomenal.
Hear he's good. Okay.
I do recommend reading the book just because it looks entertaining. However, the second season is the official sequel to the book.
Okay. So there are a few big things on here that I've mentioned. He's done other things, though, in fantasy and science fiction, which is why I was able to be swayed to raise him higher. There's enough body of work here, and he's still putting stuff out in these genres that, okay, put him in the 30s. Fair enough.
In my opinion, you didn't need the body of work. This is one that, even if you move all that out, his role as the Doctor, his time there, and the way that it was, is enough to get him on the list. The other things move him up as high as he is, just because while he wasn't the first Doctor since the revival, he is a lot of people's first Doctor. He's a lot of people's favorite Doctor.
He's my favorite Doctor.
And there's a reason for it. He's a big part of the reason why the revival was such a success.
Fair enough. Number 35, Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds has quite a collection of things that he's done here in fantasy and science fiction and even horror.
Yeah.
The earliest that I had seen him was in Blade Trinity, which I believe is the third of those original Blade films.
That's how Trinity works.
The Trinity name.
No, but it was a play on it a little bit of they were doing Blade Trinity because it was the third one.
Yeah. Quite good, but right away the next year he's in the remake of the Amityville Horror. He stars in it. Again, terrific. Then he moves into the X-Men universe. Again, Blade was Marvel, but not really MCU. It was before they were really doing, but it was like the Blade films were the best Marvel brought to the screen before they finally restarted things with Iron Man and did good movies.
That being said, Blade Trinity was the worst of the Blade movies.
That is true. But not Ryan Reynolds' fault. He was solid. But X-Men Origins, Wolverine, it was a crime what they did to Deadpool in that movie, but Ryan Reynolds plays him. We get all the Deadpool movies now that he's doing so much better because of how horrible that one was. And he's like, come on, I need to do this differently. I have a vision. And he managed to sell it. And it's worked. I haven't seen the third one yet. Soon.
Most of what Ryan Reynolds does, he's a goofy, lovable asshole. And I can enjoy that. I generally do. But I can also admit that for the first half of his career, it was in a lot of things that, looking back on it, or even at the time, aren't very good. There's a lot of flops. But we have gotten to a point where he's done enough things, tried it enough ways, and or been given enough freedom that we get things like the Deadpool movies that have been very successful.
Now his name attached to a movie means the movie's going to be a success.
And there even were a couple of things that smaller or just Netflix movies that came out that I actually really enjoyed that very much just seemed like they went to Ryan Reynolds and said, hey, do you want to just mess around?
Did you see the 2022 Christmas movie, Spirited?
I did not.
It's awesome. It's actually a musical. And it's kind of a reimagining of a Christmas Carol.
Okay.
But he's fantastic. The whole movie was great. I was shocked that I actually enjoyed it as much as I did.
Interesting. Maybe you'll have to watch it this Christmas season.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it. He has learned his lesson, though. Stick with Marvel. Because the one time he tried the DC universe...
Wait, he tried the DC universe? I don't have any memory of that.
He wants everyone to forget about it. It's not a good movie. Again, he was not bad, but he wasn't good either. Nothing was good in that movie. Okay, that's number 35. Number 34 is someone I kept wanting to raise higher and higher, and maybe I should still have her higher because she's had such diversity in her performances. Scarlett Johansson. I love Scarlett Johansson. There's so much good from her. Her first film as a teenager, Eight-Legged Freaks, is hilarious science fiction, an homage to the old monster movies of the 50s and 60s. So entertaining. It's a horror comedy. You have not seen that, I'm going to guess.
No, I have not.
I really recommend it. It's just get some popcorn, sit down with Rach, and watch the movie. It's a hoot. But then she's done some more subtle things. She's done a lot of science fiction. The Prestige is a great one to do.
I plan on watching that. I haven't.
Yeah, it's got some solid actors in it, and then she's there too. And it's just, she just delivers. But of course, she's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as the Black Widow. And just, again, like Gal Gadot with Wonder Woman, Scarlett Johansson has personified the Black Widow now. The Black Widow was really a different sort of character in the comic books. But now I see Scarlett Johansson. She's just made it who I envision. But even through all of that, she's continued with great performances, especially leaning into science fiction, Under the Skin and Lucy being two of the standout roles. So there's so much Black Widow, but she didn't just settle. She kept finding other things to do. And that kind of diversity and some real acting chops, love it.
She makes this spot in the list because you wanted to put her here. I see your arguments, but I'm not as big of a ScarJo fan as you are. She's okay.
Okay. Wow. Send your hate mail to Zach in the comment box. Number 33, Hugo Weaving. I'm always entertained when I see Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, that's fair.
First, the Matrix films, then the Lord of the Rings trilogy. V for Vendetta, we've talked about in a previous series. You're not so in love with that movie, but I thought it was great.
He does great.
He's fantastic. He reprises Elrond from the Lord of the Rings for a couple of the Hobbit movies. He's also the voice of Megatron in the Transformers movies. Only the first one's all that good. But if you just like Transformers, then there's still stuff to enjoy. And he also shows up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as the Red Skull. He was so freaking awesome as the Red Skull.
He was great.
Captain America: The First Adventure is where he appears. So what does he do that's not great? It's just, he's fantastic.
Well, I mean, you've got some things on here that I didn't think were that good. For example, Mortal Engines, cool premise, interesting series. I don't think the movie was very good. Not necessarily because he did bad. I just think it was kind of a movie.
Yeah, okay. You know, it's hard for an actor to overcome a script.
And at the end of the day, everything he does, his performance is phenomenal.
There we go. We are in agreement. Number 32 is one I don't know that we're in agreement on. Michael Fassbender, who's done a wide variety of roles, everything from 300 to Jonah Hex. Okay, very different types of films. He's shown range, but he really enters into prominence through two different series. One, the X-Men, where he has played the newer version now of Magneto and done multiple films. But then he also enters the Alien franchise with the movie Prometheus, and then coming in again in Alien Covenant. Those are two major things, again, in these genres. When you're part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, well, okay, the X-Men one isn't. It's Marvel adjacent. But it's still the X-Men franchise. Some of those films are really good. Some of them not as good. But he's good.
He does great.
And his roles in the Alien franchise, very strong performances. Did you see the Assassin's Creed movie?
I did. It was bad.
Okay, because I know you're a fan of the video game series.
I was glad that it was like happening. There's a reason it didn't get like a bunch of sequels or something.
But his performance in that, I can't speak to it. Fine, okay.
This is a case where maybe he could have been a little lower. I definitely think Hugo Weaving, right below him, should actually be at least right above him. But I understand why you've put him where you have.
And he's ahead of Hugo Weaving because I know more about the things he's done outside of these genres than I do Hugo Weaving. I think we're seeing greater range from Fassbender, and I think his star is still rising. So,
Okay.
All right, let's finish off today's list, number 31, which is Andy Serkis, one
This
of
is
your favorite.
the first time in our entire list so far that I vehemently disagree with you.
Because you think he should be
Andy Serkis is top 10.
I'm like, no. But okay, I moved him higher in discussion with Zach, and he in the end was like, yeah, put him where you want. No matter what you say, I'm going to think he's too low.
Correct.
So Andy Serkis becomes known to all of us through the motion capture technology used to create Gollum in the Lord of the Rings franchise. He has continued to lean into that for a number of other characters, such as he's the one giving the motion to King Kong in the 2005 adaptation. He's Caesar in the Planet of the Apes franchise. But he's also gone ahead and done some actual character acting. We actually do see him in some things now,
Yeah.
including in Black Panther. He plays Claw,
Mm-hmm.
Ulysses Claw. He also, I know what's the one I'm thinking of? Oh, Andor, one of his latest ones. I liked his role in Andor. I'm not in love with the TV series Andor. It was like okay for me, but I liked him. Solid performance. And he's got a bunch of other things, odds and ends he's done in here. There's quite a body of work, actually. But the fact that and he's
part of Marvel. He's
so
part
again, that was motion capture. So he's got the real skills with the motion capture and showed he can actually show up on screen just as an actor and turn in a good performance. I still think his best things are the motion capture stuff. Which is why I'm like,
agree.
I don't think that's top 10 worthy necessarily.
I sit here and go, I think he's a phenomenal actor. I think his best stuff that isn't mocap is actually on stage rather than on the screen. However, the mocap stuff in and of itself is good enough. It should be significantly higher. That gets him to top 20 at least.
Okay.
What to me says, yes, he's top 10 is part of what this ranking, as I understand it, is the impact they have on the genre. And the work that he has done and continues to do is bringing real sci-fi into how we make movies, how we do this. The entire idea behind this mocap and how involved he's been in has been cutting edge developing of technology, in large part in how to harness what he's doing better.
Zach makes great points, people. So
I think that gets him a top 10 spot. I'm just saying.
What do you think? Put your thoughts on Andy Serkis here in the comments, or any of the others that were on our list today. If you think they're too high, too low, just right, let us know. We'd love to hear. And, if you have some favorite performances from any of these actors, feel free to chat about them. We will chat back with you. I will chat back with you. Zach will hear about it from me. But that's where we'll leave you today. Again, reminder, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you find the next episodes. You're reminded when they drop. Come back tomorrow to see our list from the 20s. But that's where we'll leave you today. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.